it's just me, but it seems like my generation was more respectful to their elders than today's generation. My name is Paul Basulka, Ivy Masters Learning Center, and ivymasters.com. And today we're going to look at Test 1, Section 1, Number 6, which is an example from 100 years ago in a different culture where we see respect shown with a twist. Number 6 reads, in the passage, Akira addresses Chi with what? So what's address mean? In this context, an address is like a formal speech. And so we want to look at when he's speaking to her. But not only that, there might be some narration around that tells us like a little insight into his mannerisms when speaking to her. So first, we're going to look at around here. This is when he first begins to talk to her in line 31. Madame, said Akira, forgive my disruption, but I come with a matter of urgency. His voice was soft and refined. He straightened and stole a deferential peek at her face. In the dim light, his eyes shone with sincerity. So, deferential, respectful. And he is very respectful. Forgive my disruption. Okay. So, we'll go on and look ahead a little bit. I'm going to use my glasses because I can't see anything anymore. 39. I don't want to trouble you. Normally, I would approach you more properly, but I've received word of the position. I have an opportunity to go to America as a dentist for Seattle's Japanese community. Okay, good for you, Kira. But again, I don't want to trouble you. Sounds like he's addressing her with respect. And then we see over here, Akira's message delivered like a formal speech. And now you might know why in the question it says addresses Akira with. But again, respectful, formal. And we'll run down a little bit more. And let's see what else we've got over here. Around here, he says, we have an understanding. Please don't judge my candidacy, whether or not he's able to marry her daughter Naomi, which we get in another part of the passage, by the unseemliness and inappropriateness of this proposal. Again, very respectful. I ask directly because the use of go-between takes much time. Either method comes down to the same thing, a matter of parental approval. If you give me your consent, I become Naomi's Yoshi. So it's a Yoshi. So you have an asterisk there, you want to look at the end. It's a man who marries a woman of higher status and takes her family's name. So I know in our culture, if a woman takes her husband's name, it's always the husband's name. He would take her name because she's higher status. This is Japan in 1920. Then it says, we'll live in the house of Fuji. Okay, sounds good. Without your consent, I must go to America to secure a home for my new bride. What's he saying there? He's been very respectful up to this point, but he seems like he's like kind of hardline too, what do I mean? He's like, if you don't agree for me to marry your daughter, then I'm gonna take her thousands of miles away with me. And it's not like he even gives her options. So is that deferential? So that's not exactly deferential. Another part of deferential is submission, and that is the opposite of submission. He's like, hey, it's 1920. It's not really easy to get to America. You probably gotta take a boat and it takes months. So you may never see your daughter again unless you agree for me to marry her. And you let me live here, by the way. Okay. Ballsy move on Akira's part. I'm thinking especially for that time and probably that culture too, Japan 1920. So, we go on a little bit more. Let's see what else Akira has to say. 71 over here. Eager to make his point, he'd been looking her full in the face. Abruptly, his voice turned gentle. I see I've startled you. My humble apologies. I'll take no more of your time, of your evening. My address is on my card. If you don't wish to contact me, I'll reapproach you in 2 weeks' time. Until then, good night. Okay, again, very respectful. And then he bowed and left. Very respectful. So it's kind of a weird mix of respect and, by the way, I might take your daughter away and you might never see her again. So we need an answer choice that matches that crazy mishmash of Akira, how he's approaching Chi. So affection but not genuine love. If it's affection, it would be like a kiss and hug, something like that. We don't see any affection there, really. Not genuine love, that would be like, he's reluctantly kissing and hugging her, or something like that. He's kissing and hugging her, but he has hard feelings. We don't see any of that in the passage. Answer is B, objectivity, but not complete impartiality. So if you're objective, you do not take one side or the other. Not complete impartiality, you don't care one way or the other. That's not right. He wants to marry her daughter Naomi. No objectivity there. He just wants to marry her, and that's why he's there. Answer to C, amusement, but not mocking disparagement. So we don't see any humor there. And mocking disparagement, so to disparage someone is literally to make them PAR, that part of the word, is like to be at the same level, like in golf when you're on par, but it's actually related etymologically, like if you trace the word back, it's related to the word peer. So disparagement is like someone is not your peer. You treat them as if they're lower than yourself, but we don't see any amusement there. There's certainly not mocking disparagement, but no amusement either. So the correct answer here is going to be D, respect, but not utter deference. So he is, as you saw throughout that passage, very respectful. And then we see this word deference here. Now, deference could be respect, but it could also be submission. So he's respectful to her, but he does not submit to her. In other words, he doesn't say, could I marry your daughter Naomi? If yes, then great. If no, then, I'll accept it. No, he says, if you don't agree for me to marry your daughter Naomi, I'm taking her with me to America. That is not submission. That is, I'm in control, and I'm gonna marry your daughter one way or the other. Thank you for joining us today. If you like this video, click like. You can share it with someone who has trouble with, this is a no-line reference question. It's actually throughout the passage, but you really know based on the dialogue where to look. If there's any question you'd like to see answered from any official PSAT or SAT or ACT, leave that in the comments. I'd be happy to shoot a video on it. And click subscribe so you don't miss anything.